Hi, I'm Arden,
I'm Amber.
and we're representing Professor Johnson's 1230 class. The title of this piece is Rough Draft 244, and that's partially because our entire class is focused on revision and editing and growing from your own work. And the 244 part is partially because we've written so many revisions and drafts that it feels like there's been 244, but also because our classroom is room 244, and that's where all of this happened.
I am from reluctance to speak your mind and to cherish old traditions.
I am from streetlights and fireflies, from softball fields and late nights.
I'm from a long history of English degrees, from creative writing and PhDs.
I'm from growing towns, crowded highways and busy streets, from loud, hardworking and caring. I'm from bad love and too much understanding.
For my research project, I did a topic on the stigma of the fashion industry and how it's not just, I guess, something for skinny rich people. It's also a huge creative process behind it, and it's also for everyone. And it can actually help boost things like self-esteem and even help with career opportunities and first impressions.
My name is Amber James. I did my research on veterans coming back home from war. It was really important for me to do this because I know that there's so much about mental health, but there's also not a lot about like physical disabilities. And my father is a veteran, my best friend's dad is a veteran. I know many, many veterans. So it was important to me to kind of bring light to the fact that yes, there is mental health problems that we need to address in veterans, but there's also physical disabilities that aren't talked about, and the way that we talk about them needs to change.
For my research project, I decided to learn about a genre that I feel was very important in sculpting the landscape of current cinema, classic film noir. This is a genre that I had very little experience with, but I had a lot of fun taking out the time to learn more about it. I read textbooks, newspaper articles, books, and I watched a few films from directors like Orson Welles, Howard Hawks, Carol Reed, and Alfred Hitchcock. The product of my research was a best practices guide to productive film noir viewership, and it can sort of be applied to any genre. This was a really great experience because I've always been very fond of neo-noir films of the 80s and 90s, but I've never taken time out to learn about the background of the genre and classic film noir.
I did my research project on misconceptions about mental health and the harm that comes with labeling. For my final project, I read a Shel Silverstein-inspired children's book about my topic.
My name is Arden Stockdale-Giesler, and I research children's books with hard realities. Children learn through literature, so why shouldn't we be passionate about what that is? In this research process, I became so moved that I ended up writing a children's book of my own. The inspiration for my piece, Wings of a White Butterfly, stemmed from my passion for creative writing, my personal experiences with hard realities, and my drive to be the person I needed when I was younger.
Reading an article in Rolling Stone magazine that ended up developing into multi-layers of research and ultimately became a photo essay.
So what will you remember about Lang 120?
Yeah, I've definitely discovered my voice through this class by making my writings more personal and vulnerable than I ever have, as opposed to being in high school and writing formulaic essays for the classes. And I really admire that.
One thing I really remember is the story course.
I think just how comfortable the environment was. It was really easy to share stuff we've written and stuff with each other. And I
Enjoyed our instructor. She let us have an open idea to what we wanted to do in the class, which I thought and take part in a lot of the things ourselves and decisions. So I think that was good.
How have you grown as a writer this semester?
I think I learned that, revision doesn't have to be super stressful, and it can lead you to really, really cool, important things, like with mine.
I'll take away a lot of information on how to set up an infographic and get on the computer and find resources.
Question is, what have you learned about the practice of revision?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've discovered that it's a never-ending process for me personally. I always am finding, something new to add or something new to revise that doesn't quite, work out the first time the way I thought it did. And that's just a new way of thinking that I had never realized before.
What were some of the pieces you created that made an impression on you?
My favorite, or one that really made an impression, was the Little Library, because I got to like throw back to my childhood and think about books that impacted me when I was younger and possibly made me the person I am today.
Why do you like to write?
Because I want to meow meow.
I am going to continue to taste the chlorine on my lips and force myself to grow stronger through hard work in the pool. I am going to grow as a student and obtain a plethora of knowledge that will prepare me for my future ambitions of becoming a lawyer.
Forward and never looking back to the things I cannot change. I am going to look for the positive things in life.
I'm going into the next semester applying what I learned. Since my major is not just numbers, I feel my foundation is set in stone.
I am going around the world, or maybe to the stars. I don't know the destination, but I know I'll go far.
And we would like to thank Lily and Mackenzie for making that amazing video for us, because they did that themselves. Are there any questions or? Okay, cool.